Good morning and welcome to this General Licensing Subcommittee. First item on the agenda is nomination of chair. So could I ask for nominations for chair, please?
Yeah, nominate Councillor Holmes.
I second that.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes?
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to this subcommittee on Thursday, the 20th of July. Do we have any apologies, please?
No apologies.
And I have no late items. Any declarations of interest? No. So we go on to item 5, and I'll just run through the procedure. Have you been to a subcommittee before? No. So I'll run through the procedure before we start. An application for a variation of premises licence at Midland Road Convenience Store, 1 Midland Road. So if we just go around and introduce ourselves first, as there's quite a few of us in the room. So I'm Councillor Holmes, so I'm chairing this meeting this morning.
Yeah, Councillor Wright, I'm a member of the Licensing Committee. Thank you.
Councillor Sarah Chambers, also a member of the Licensing Committee.
I'm Jackie Waring, I'm the Appeals Officer.
I'm Zoe Mays, Senior Licensing Officer.
I'm Frank Fender, I'm the agent representing the applicant this morning.
I'm Puidren Bermudas for the applicant. I'm PC Gar.
Sorry, do you want to just state your names at the back?
I'm Raj Sanger, landlord of the property.
Dinesh Joshi, landlord of the property.
Licensing enforcement officer, Derbyshire Constabulary.
Oh. Lionel Dess, legal advisor for this session, and I'm joined by my colleague Simon Atkar, who sits behind me.
Thank you. So the procedure we follow is the licence officer will present her case, and then we are afforded questioning of her just to clarify anything that she has said. Then PC Fowler will present his case, and similarly we are then open to questions through me, of course, for clarification purposes. Then you will be able to present your case and then similarly be questioned. Then we will retire to make our decision. Okay, is there anything you need to ask me or don't follow with that? That's okay. Thank you. So if we start with Zoe presenting the case, please.
Thank you, Chair. An application to vary the premises licence was submitted to the licensing team for Midland Road Convenience Store, 1 Midland Road, Derby, on the 31st of May 2023. The proposed variation has no changes to the licensing hours. The variation is to remove condition 12 in Annex 2 of the premises licence, which states that no super strength beer, lagers or ciders of 6.5 ABV or above shall be sold at the premises. There's also a proposed amendment to condition 1 in Annex 2 on the premises licence to read, all staff authorised to sell alcohol will be trained prior to serving alcohol. The training will cover various key matters such as preventing underage sales, proxy sales, selling to persons whom are drunk, and compliance with licence conditions. Other proposed conditions have been offered relating to various notices displayed at the premises, and full details of the variation is in Appendix 3. One representation has been received from Derbyshire Constabulary to the application, and details can be found in Appendix 2. The premises licence and summary is attached at Appendix 3, and the options available today are to decide to either grant the application as per the application, modify the conditions of the licence, or reject the whole or part of the application. Thank you.
Thank you. So, does anybody have any questions? Any questions? Zoe?
Chair, yes. I'm not too sure if this is a question for licensing or it might be the police, but while we're on the licensing team, if they could explain what the RB Retail Licensing Manual is and whether that's a standardised, industry standardised accreditation.
Apologies, sorry, ABV are you talking about? The
Annex 2, Condition 1, which is one of the conditions that's looking to be varied, it makes reference to utilising the RB Retail Licensing Manual, which I believe is one of the issues. Is that correct, or have I misunderstood that?
That's correct.
Can you just clarify what RB Retail Licensing Manual is? Is that an industry standard or a recognised standard?
I think I can answer that. I don't think it is. I think it's a local business that's been set up to do that, which is why it should be coming off, and I agree. There's no objection to that.
Okay, on that basis, if we could hold that question for when the police make their representations, I apologise.
I didn't know whether I could just clarify on that, whether procedurally I can just come in on that. RB stands for Richard Baker. He's a consultant that devised his own manual for his own business. If this manual ceased to exist, then that condition could not be complied with. Hence, that being part of the application. So it's not industry standard, it's something that this person has put together, and for some reason that condition went on the licence.
Okay, so we'll clarify that when in your time. Okay, thank you. So there's no further questions for Zoe. We'll move on to PC Fowler. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm PC 3492 Fowler, and I'm a Police Licence and Enforcement Officer based out of St Mary's Wharf in Derbyshire. I've worked in the licensing department for the last 5 years and currently have responsibility for dealing with premises and applications covering the Derby City area. And this area includes Midland Road, near to the train station. On the 17th of December 2021, an application was received into the office in respect of a premises at 1 Midland Road, Derby, applying for a premises licence for an off licence. I was aware that this premises was previously a public house called the Tiffany Lounge. My colleague, Sergeant Gemma Williamson, dealt with this application and, having local knowledge of the area, liaised with the applicant's agent concerning the street drinkers in the area and what measures would be required to ensure that the 4 licensing objectives would not be undermined. It was agreed with the applicant through the agent that certain conditions would be put in place, including condition number 12, no super strength beer, lager or cider, 6.5% ABV, alcohol by volume or above should be sold at the premises. And it was believed at the time that this condition would mitigate issues with crime and disorder in the area, antisocial behaviour in the area, and was the reason that the application was not objected to by the police as a responsible authority. On the 10th of February 2023, Derby Trading Standards Officer Leander Bailey attended the premises and found them to be in breach of most of their licence conditions, one of which was the condition regarding the sales of alcohol at this level. Well over 100 cans and bottles were removed from the shelves by the DPS so as to prevent further breaches for this specific condition. As a result of this, the applicant then appointed 2 agents to approach the police about having this condition removed. The first agent agreed with me when I spoke with him about the issues faced both by the previous breaches and the potential issues around breaching the 4 licensing objectives by encouraging street drinking and antisocial behaviour and criminality in the area. The second agent has now applied for the variation, which has triggered this objection. As can be seen both from the statements of evidence that I've presented into the bundle and the photos taken on the road over the last 4 weeks alone, I don't believe it can be argued that there is an issue in the area with antisocial behaviour caused by street drinkers. It's worth noting that there are further businesses on the road that are willing to provide community impact statements if required to by the committee, but I thought at the time that the evidence I'd collected was enough and underlined the issues. It cannot be argued that these vulnerable adults will purchase high-strength, cheap alcohol to best feed their habit. Many of the most popular drinks fall into a percentage of ABV of between 6.5 and 7.5%, which includes most varieties of white cider, which is the alcohol of choice for a high percentage of alcoholics and street drinkers. And it was with this in mind that the conditions were placed in the first place when the applicant first applied for a licence in 2001. Included within those white ciders are White Storm and Frosty Jacks, which are two of the many brands which were removed from the shelves at Midland Convenience Store by Trading Standards Department. And work has been done with the DPS following these issues, and I believe that it is now compliant with this premises licence conditions. Needless to say, this premises licence was originally granted last year with the specific conditions which are not commonplace on licences, and licence application would have been objected to if it not agreed to at the time by the applicant. The conditions are needed to ensure that no further issues are created on Midland Road. I believe that changing these conditions, and specifically that of selling high-strength lager and beer and cider, would undermine the 4 licensing objectives. And to that end, I believe that this application to vary the premises licence should be refused. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So can you touch on the other part of the application to have the training manual removed for us?
Yeah, from my point of view, it seems sensible to remove that condition. Difficult to enforce because once, as the applicant's agent has said, once that training manual is no longer there or a different trainer is in place and that it's no longer being used, it's an unenforceable condition. So there's no issues whatsoever with removing that condition.
Thank you. And when you said the trading standards found that there were breaches of conditions, how many breaches did they find in total? I know we're focusing on this application, but I think it helps to know some background for that. Are you aware of that or not?
I'm aware that I believe in the letter that was sent out, it was most of the conditions were being breached out of however many there were. It was over a dozen conditions, and I think the majority of them were including CCTV not being for the right amount of time saved. If it was saved at all, I'm not sure. But I believe the applicant might be able to clarify that, as logbooks, incident books and things along those natures. I've not got the exact information in front of me though. It was more the fact that they were breaching that condition 12 that I've entered that into evidence, and the fact that even though we've put those conditions in place as a specific deterrent for crime and disorder, within months of the premises being open, they were being ignored.
Is the area surrounding the premises, is it a designated public place, or is there a designated public place order there?
Currently, I don't believe there is, but I believe there may be work being done by British Transport Police, along with the local Save Neighbourhood teams, to bring that into force at the moment. But I believe at the moment there isn't one of those orders in place. So I have tried to get in touch with British Transport Police, but they've been unforthcoming to me, unfortunately. So I could try and clarify that for this meeting.
And can I just clarify? I was a little bit confused about the dates when the conditions were agreed by the applicant. Did I catch 17th to the 12th, 2021 when the annex was agreed to?
Yeah, so that's when the application first went in for a new premises licence. Obviously, previously it was a public house. That had ceased, and this was a new off licence that was opening in its stead. The applicant applied for the premises licence then, and it was agreed at that stage to have those conditions put on.
And it was this applicant that made that application?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Chair, just one clarification question. You said that you're content for the condition to be removed, but I think Appendix 5 substitutes some different wording that the applicant would prefer. Can I just clarify that the police are content with that wording to be substituted, and if not, what your representations are on it?
Yeah, that substituted wording was fine by me. It's pretty standard across most licences now in regards to that form of training, so there'd be no objections to that.
So it's over to you if you'd like to.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Today's applicant is Viruman Limited. They are the premises licence holder. Puvi Theron Paramathas is the designated premises supervisor for those premises, and his connection to the limited company is his wife's limited company, so very much a family connection with these premises. Mr. Paramathas has been a personal licence holder for in excess of 10 years. He currently has a management role, a business role in 3 other off-licence premises in the Derby area. That's 3 plus this one, the subject of today's application, making 4 in total. Before that, he used to own and manage the fuel station, the traffic fuel station on Traffic Street. He managed those premises for 6 years. That is a premise that has a 24-hour licence to sell alcohol. There are no restrictions on that premises licence in respect of the type of alcohol that could or could not be sold. 6 years experience selling whatever the shop, and they used to sell those super strength beers, which are the subject of today's application as well. I just wanted to put a little bit of a picture around the applicant for you to show this is a very experienced operator. It's not somebody that's just come into the business. He certainly does know what he's doing. Number 1 Midland Road is an established licensed convenience store. It sells a wide range of products. Alcohol is just one of the many products sold at these premises, so we're not looking at an off-licence per se, although alcohol does form a part of the business. The current premises licence allows alcohol to be sold from 8 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. The premises are allowed to be open from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. Today's application it's slightly unusual in that it's not seeking to extend any of the times for licensable activity. It's not seeking to alter the opening hours. It really is a case of current conditions, the current conditions to be looked at in respect of this licence. There is one condition on this licence in particular, which we submit puts the applicant at a disadvantage when compared to other premises selling alcohol in the area of his shop. That condition is in respect of a restriction on him selling beers and ciders over a certain strength, and I'll detail that more in a moment. The application also seeks to amend condition number 1 on the licence, and that's the condition which we've been speaking about in respect of staff training, utilising the RB Retail Licensing Manual. I think, like your legal advisor, I had to examine and explore and research what RB Retail Licensing Manual was as well. I didn't know, and I've been doing this work for quite a while. Obviously, we've now established that it is from a licensing consultant that put a package together, and that condition appears on his licence. The licence holder, he recognises that staff training is a vital part of running an off-licence. So he's not looking to do away with that completely. He just wants the ability to be able to use other training providers or other training resources when he trains his staff. It's pleasing to note that the police have not objected to that part of the variation application, no representation on that part, and therefore I would ask you to grant that, at least that part of things, when you come to make your determination. The contentious part of the application, of course, is in respect of condition number 12, which is on page 6 of the existing premises licence. The applicant wishes to remove the condition that reads, no super strength beer, lager or cider, 6.5% ABV, alcohol by volume, or above, shall be sold from the premises. This is the condition which the applicant says puts him at a disadvantage amongst other shops that sell alcohol in the area. The applicant claims that he loses business as a result of this condition, especially when other shops have no restrictions on the strength of the beers, lagers and ciders that they sell. It's not a case of losing business purely because he can't sell those products. But what happens is when customers go into the premises to buy those products, they buy other products as well. It's called the shopping basket mentality. As well as buying alcohol, they'll pick up their bread, they'll pick up their milk, they'll pick up their biscuits and other grocery products. So the fact that the applicant today cannot sell those products which some people want to buy, those people go to the other shops and fill their shopping basket, he loses the business. The applicant wants a level playing field, in effect. He will state and agrees that if everyone in the area had the same conditions, it wouldn't be a problem for him. But not everybody in the area does have those conditions. He feels that puts him at a disadvantage. He would like to see a level playing field. As we know, we have a representation from the police. Interestingly, no representation from any other statutory body, nor is there any representations from any interested parties, people that live or work in that area, just the one from the police. No representation from trading standards officers. This could reasonably be expected if there were pressing issues around the condition. You've heard the police evidence refer to a breach of other conditions. We don't know what conditions. I think it's dangerous when the police say most conditions. We don't know. We don't know for sure. And how much weight you give to that comment is a matter for yourselves. Just to say most, there's 12 on and there's most, I think it's a dangerous thing to say. It would be more helpful if specific conditions could be highlighted as to what was breached. But having said that, Trading Standards gave the applicant much advice around the conditions, much advice, and that advice has been heeded, and Trading Standards have been happy that the premises are now compliant. I think if they weren't compliant, if they weren't happy, we would have seen them sitting alongside the police here this morning. No representation either from Public Health. And the reason I say that, they are a statutory consultee. And whilst Public Health is not one of the licensing objectives, Public Health do often have a say in respect of super strength beers, lagers and ciders because of the damage or the health concerns that health bodies have in respect of those products. But they haven't made a representation. The representation from the police talks about the negotiated conditions when the licence was first issued in January 22, and we've heard from PC Fowler about that. Whilst it is appreciated that the agreed conditions are aimed at preventing street drinking issues, it is often the case that applicants for a premises licence will agree to anything proposed by the authorities for the sake of having a licence approved. The longer-term consequences of agreeing to such measures are quite often not well thought out, and the applicant can now see this, hence the application to remove that condition today. I believe that comment, the fact that he agreed to the conditions without really understanding them, is evidenced in the police representation when they say that the agent acting on behalf of the applicant agreed these conditions on his client's behalf. The question has to be asked as to whether the applicant fully understood the condition. The applicant would say no. The applicant's understanding of the condition, or should I say misunderstanding of the conditions, appears to be substantiated as a result of the Trading Standards visit in February when they highlighted breaches of the licence condition. The main one being, of course, that he was stocking alcohol products, beers, ciders and lagers, which exceeded 6.5%. As soon as it was pointed out to him, he removed the products. You've heard that from the police here this morning. It's pleasing to note that following the advice, he now continues to meet the conditions on his licence. The applicant does not want to breach his conditions, hence the application today. He feels that other shops have a competitive advantage over him because they have no restrictions on what they can sell. And the reason for the application is, as I've already said, to create a level playing field. The police representation states that the condition is necessary to prevent the existing problems in the area associated with street drinkers from being exacerbated. The applicant does not want to add to any existing problems in that area. Of course not. That wouldn't do his business any good whatsoever. The problem drinkers, however, can already get their drinks of choice from the other shops which are already allowed to sell those products. And one of those shops is a 24-hour shop. It's diagonally opposite the applicant's shop. Diagonally opposite, 24 hours, no restrictions on what they sell. Another premises selling those types of products does not mean additional people coming into the area to buy them, so the problems would not be exacerbated. There is only a limited number of people in the market force. But he's not interested in targeting street drinkers, the problem drinkers. He's wanting to attract those persons who drink those products in moderation, as intended by the breweries that brew them, and to make use of those persons' shopping basket mentality. For example, one of those products that is not allowed to sell is Carlsberg Special Brew. The brewers of that product claim that 70% of the sales of that product are made by older professionals in management positions, and it is drunk in moderation. It's very easy to believe that only street drinkers drink these products. It's not true. If it was true, the brewers simply wouldn't make the products. Yes, street drinkers do drink them. They are the drink of choice for the street drinkers. We know that. But the applicant today is still not going to sell those products to known street drinkers. There's another condition on the licence also that helps to reduce the problems demonstrated by these street drinkers, and that's in respect of the minimum pricing. There is a mandatory licence condition that says certain products they mustn't be sold below a certain price. That price is set largely by the government, who create a beer duty levy, and then there's a calculation there to suggest how much each product should be sold for. For example, selling those products at £1 a can is below the minimum price, is a breach of a licence condition. So that condition tends to push up the price of those super strength beers because it's done according to their ABV. The government set the beer duty according to the ABV. So it kind of tries to force those products out of the price range of the typical street drinker. What my client is proposing is that they will adopt a policy at the shop, should you be minded to remove this condition, should you be minded to. A policy that says we will not sell alcohol to any recognised or any person recognised or identified as a street drinker. And that would be regardless of their state of inebriation. Even if they weren't drunk, even if they were as sober as a judge, they would not sell to known street drinkers. They would have a policy of not selling alcohol to anyone who is found drinking in the street. The policy would go on to say they will not sell alcohol to any person who is drunk or appears to be drunk. That's an offence in its own right in any case. They will not serve alcohol to any person who is suspected of buying alcohol for another person who is drunk. They would not sell alcohol to any person who is unable to provide valid ID when requested by staff, nor would they sell to anyone who is verbally or physically abusive to staff or customers, nor would they sell to any person suspected of trying to buy alcohol for another person who may be underage. Measures which are designed to prevent existing problems from becoming exacerbated as a result of removing this condition. The applicant would also put another poster in the shop, another notice, asking people not to drink alcohol which has been purchased from within the shop, drinking it outside in the street. Please do not purchase alcohol on behalf of anyone that is outside the shop or in the general area, because they could cause a problem to the community. The applicant would be quite happy to have those policies conditioned as conditions on his premises licence, should you be minded to remove this super strength condition. So in a nutshell, Chair, a level playing field is what the applicant wants. He has no issues, if everybody's doing the same, no issues whatsoever, but he does feel it's at a competitive advantage. He does understand that there could be problems if street drinkers got hold of his products, but he will put other measures in place to ensure that they don't. And that's the application before you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Hi. So initially you obviously told us of all this experience and the other 3 off licences that you've got, 6 years at the petrol station, and you've been in off licensing for 10 years. But then in another part of the statement, you said that people will just take a licence just to get the licence on whatever the conditions are. But if you've got all this experience, why did he take that licence initially with those conditions if you've got all that experience behind you? If it was your first off licence, I can understand, but I'm a little confused on that. If you could just clarify on that, please.
Yes, my understanding is that the applicant, his agent agreed the conditions on his behalf. Maybe did the agent have a conversation with you about the conditions?
He didn't explain, yeah.
Sorry?
He didn't explain properly. That's why I thought my other 3 shop had the fully license. I thought this one also same license, but I didn't read it properly. That's my fault. But I thought the all same license. That's why I didn't read it properly.
I think, yeah, the gist I got from that, the other 3 licenses, there's no restrictions whatsoever, so he assumed that the 4th licence would be the same. He accepts he should have read it.
On that point, could I just clarify with PC Fowler then? Did the police only engage with the agent throughout this discussion, or have the police ever spoken to the applicant today?
No, we spoke with the agent. It's generally what we do if an applicant has an agent in place. I've spoke with Sergeant Williamson. She stated she spoke with the agent. The agent says he'll have to go and consult with his applicant about the conditions that we put forward. He came back within a few days. I think she said 2 or 3 days. Then she spoke with the applicant. He's happy with the conditions to be placed on the licence.
So as far as we're aware, that is the agent's responsibility in the job to liaise with the applicant, make sure they understand everything before the agent says to you, yes, that's okay.
Yes, that's right. They generally won't do anything unless they get the nod, because obviously if they were doing things without the applicant's knowledge, when that came through, there would be questions to be asked to the agent as to why they've been completing things that aren't the applicant's wishes. Also, Chair, while I'm talking, I do have the answers to that last question that was given to me. I don't know if it's too late to put that forward, but I've got the letter from Trading Standards outlining the issues that were in place at the premises, if you want to hear that.
That would help, please.
Just bear with me a second. So this letter was sent on the 10th of February 23 at 15:51 via email. Dear applicant, I have carried out a premises licence inspection at the above premises following a complaint received that vapes were sold to a child. I met with, and apologise my pronunciation here, Mr. Umar Sharavan on my visit. I wanted to make you aware of this complaint. As part of your premises licence, an age verification scheme should be in place. Your staff should be trained and made aware that they too would be committing an offence if age-restricted products were sold to a child. Derby City Council promotes a Challenge 25 age identification policy, which means that your staff should ask for an approved form of ID in all cases where the purchaser appears to be under 25 years of age. The Challenge 25 policy is also a condition on your premises licence. Approved identification includes pass-approved ID card, photo driving licence or passport. Obviously, once ID has been viewed, the same bike can continue to be sold on future occasions without repeatedly showing ID. That goes on for a short while, but it's unrelated. Conditions on the premises licence. Number 1, all sales staff will receive alcohol sales training prior to taking on any role within the business utilising the RB Retail's licensing manual. This training to be recorded, and refresher training carried out at least every 12 months and will also be recorded. Records detailing the staff training provided will be kept on the premises for 12 months and produced upon request to a police constable or person as detailed within section 13 of the Licensing Act 2003. I requested to view the training records of staff, but these were not available upon request and were not being kept on the premises for a period of 12 months. So that's the first 2 conditions. I requested to view...
Chair, if I can, because this is new evidence, can I just first accept that the applicant can view this evidence and accepts it before it's read into evidence? Because clearly the first couple of issues there aren't relevant to the application with respect to the vapes. So I wondered if we could just possibly adjourn for a few moments just to double check whether the applicant
Do that.
accepts that that is accepted before it's read into evidence, please.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. We'll adjourn the meeting.
Chair, if it assists, if I could just update the panel as to what's happened outside. Parties have had a discussion and guidance has been given that the only relevant breach in relation to the trading standards issues is that of condition 12, which is largely accepted about the alcohol that was found and seized. Nothing else is relevant at this stage. If trading standards had representations to be made, trading standards would be here and have made those representations. So I think we're still in the same point in relation to that, and I would ask you to discount the other submissions you heard in relation to that reading. The only other point that I want to check is the representative for the applicant did read in some supplementary conditions that they would be willing to put forward if you were minded to change condition 12. Those weren't put formally to the police for their observations. I've asked parties to have a discussion outside in relation to that and then come back and advise the subcommittee as to whether there is agreement or not, and if there isn't agreement, why there isn't an agreement. So if we could pick up there, please.
Thank you. So, PC Fowler.
I've read these, the refusals policy, which sections of which could be used as conditions on a premises licence. The police's stance at the moment is we still request that this application doesn't go forward to remove number 12. However, if the committee were minded to grant that, then these conditions would be a minimum of what would need to go on the licence to try and stem the issues on Midland Road.
Can I just clarify, from the police's point of view then, are these conditions policeable, workable in terms of being enforced?
There may need to be some minor changes to them, and I'm not quite sure how that would come about because these are what are being put forward currently. So I think some of these are unenforceable, but they are very close to being enforceable. However, my previous stance is that I don't think this should come into it at the moment. I think it's better to have the condition to stay in place, condition 12 to stay in place, and this would be a very good addition if the applicant doesn't get to remove condition 12 to have on the premises anyway, to help prevent issues even with lower strength alcohol being served.
Thank you. Are you happy with that answer?
I am, Chair. I think at the point the submission that were being made by the police, I think we were mid-questioning the applicant on their representation, so if we could return to that point, if agreeable.
Yes, thank you. Any further questions from the applicant?
Yeah, can we return to the violation on the 10th of February, where 100 cans were removed? Can you tell me the clientele that you normally sell this alcohol to?
Yeah, I sell it as strong beer, but because the problem that my client didn't tell properly the way which can you can sell, which alcohol percentage you can sell. So I sold the customer. After the trading officer coming and he explaining everything. After that I remove everything. Yeah, the normal customers, the regular customers, they asking every time when you selling this because they're buying everything, but they only buy for some beers. They go into other shop, but they saying why you selling, why you not selling, why you not selling. They keep asking these customers, my regular customers. Because a lot of cows they are in house, they build a new cows. They people coming and they buying other stuff, and they buying the beer only going the Mr. Boost or the other two shop, the petrol station. They selling 24 hours. They're selling you want to buy this item here, the beer item want to go there. That's why people like to buy everything in the one shop.
Right, can I just return, perhaps if I go back a step, do you accept that, I think it was January 22, that you accepted the conditions of the licence?
No, he didn't explain properly. That's why that's a problem. And I thought that everything the same license, no condition. That's why I accept this one.
Right, but you accepted it.
No, I not accept this one, 6.5. I thought that my other three shop license, unconditional license, I thought this one also same license. I thought he said that the license officer said I got the license. I thought the same license, other three shop no condition. That's why this one also no condition. That's why I said okay, the license we got it.
Okay, so can I move on to the 10th of February then? Do you accept that you were selling super strength alcohol on that day and the trading standards had to remove 100 plus cans from your premises?
Yes.
So rather than after that date, before that date, when you were actually selling super strength alcohol to members of the public, who were you selling them to?
Only the normal people, they buy.
And would you accept that the area around your shop is an area that does suffer from a large amount of antisocial drinking and antisocial behaviour and criminal damage, those sort of nuisance antisocial behaviour? Do you observe that yourself?
Not that much. Not that much. Sometimes they're coming, but not regularly.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask, when did you start stocking the super strength lager and beers?
When I opened the shop, I put it. I don't know. That's why I put it everything. When 23rd of December, I opened that shop. I put it everything in that day. Things are coming after that. I remove that one.
So you started selling it on the 23rd of December. That's when you're saying you opened the shop. Because that's not the date we've got, is it? Because you're saying you opened the shop on the 23rd of December and that's when you started selling super strength beer because you thought your licence was the same as your other three shops and your agent had approved the same, you assumed. You've already admitted that. However, then you've just said to us that people were coming in saying, why don't you sell it, why don't you sell it, why don't you sell it? But then you've just told me that you were selling it from day one. Can you just clarify, give me a bit of clarity on that, please?
Trading officer coming and I removed everything. And after that, people asking, why you stop this selling, why you stop this selling, why you stop this selling. That's a problem.
I think he's saying is after it was removed from the shop in February, customers after that date were coming in because they've been buying it up until then. Suddenly they can't buy it and they're now asking, why can't I buy it? I think that's the clarity.
No further questions, thank you.
Can I just ask, are you selling this alcohol in singles or packs, please?
Single, the both, single and pack. The most of people buying pack, the 4 pack, because the all normal people, but they're buying sometimes pack, sometimes the single can.
Part of the discussion we've had prior to this meeting, if you were minded to remove condition number 12, and another measure to ensure that anything over 6.5% is well out of the reach of the money side of things for a street drinker, he would be prepared to accept a condition that states that any beers, ciders or lagers that exceed 6.5% would only be sold as a multi-pack of 4 as a minimum. That condition would relate to cans. because I'm conscious that some of the ciders that are available come in rather large size bottles, and I'm not so sure that they come in multi-packs of 4, and I don't think we would want people to be drinking multi-packs of 4.
Can I just ask, you say that you feel you'd be at a disadvantage to other shops in the area. Obviously the basket mentality you was on about. So what percentage, roughly, of your footfall buy super strength beer in their basket with bread and milk, for example, please?
I presume you tried to answer that when he was selling it when he shouldn't have been, because obviously he hasn't been selling it since the 10th of February. I'll take that instruction. I think the majority use the shopping basket, but about 10 to 15% just buy the super strength.
Can I just ask, can you give us an example of the prices of these when you sold them? Can you give me an example of, say, we'll go with the cheapest option of the over 6.5 ciders and beers?
Cans 149, 129 like that. The big one, the 4.99 at the moment.
So a large bottle of cider, say.
Yeah, large bottle of the 2.5 litre, I think.
2.5 litre would
think
be
that one 4.99.
4.99.
Yeah.
And a single can.
The 500 milliliter can with the 139 or 149.
Okay, thank you.
I think the minimum pricing works out at about £1.34 for those products, depending on whether it's a 440ml can or a 500ml can.
Can you give me examples of when you have had street drinkers come into the premises where you have had to remove them or move them on from outside your shop? Can you recall any incidents and how you've dealt with those, please?
Nothing happened that one. I think I sell 3 months, but not happened like that, anything. There are no street runners coming to my shop or any trouble or anything. Not happened to my shop. That 3 months, only we selling only 3 months that area. From December to the March ending, the grading officer coming, then nothing happened, anything.
Can I just ask? Have you encountered any antisocial behaviour or seen any antisocial behaviour from people drinking, littering and hanging around the area of Midland Road and your premises?
Not that much. I didn't see that one. But nowadays, everywhere in the city center, I run the petrol station. They are also same problem. Now is Mr. Bush, they selling 24 hours. They are also still their problem. They got the police and the fixer, some fixer. I got the mail, my licensing officer. They buying every time the Mr. Bush. If they are not selling, but they buying, they are in. Same problem everywhere now at the moment. So yeah, sometime I see that one. the dairy. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to let everybody in turn sum up, if that's okay, and then we will retire to make our decision. So in order of presentation, Zoe, would you like to sum up, please?
Thank you, Chair. The options available today are to decide to either grant the application as per the application, modify the conditions of the licence, or reject the whole or part of the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Lucy Fallon?
Thank you, Chair. I believe I've proved today that there's an issue on Midland Road and the surrounding areas with antisocial and criminal behaviour, which is directly linked to the sale of high-strength lager, beer and cider in the area. With the addition of another outlet selling these products, they become easier for local street drinking fraternity to get hold of, and such drinks would undermine the street drinking fraternity to get hold of such drinks, and this would undermine the four licence and objectives. I respectfully request the committee refuse this application on these grounds. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Fender, would you like to sum up?
Yes, thank you, Chair. First of all, I would ask you not to refuse the application in its entirety. Part of the application there are no representations to. That's in respect of condition number 1 and the training. And so I would at a minimum ask you to approve that part of the application. Street drinking is an issue. It's an issue in many towns, many cities. You don't solve the issue of street drinking purely by telling a shop that they can't sell this or they can't sell that. The issue of street drinking is far more, it's far larger than just that. These street drinkers need support, they need help. You only ever get that by investing money into treatment services, etc., etc. In fact, the Police and Crime Commissioners produced a report a few years ago which developed a 9-point plan to dealing with street drinkers. One of those 9 points was in respect of off licences. So off licences do have an input. They do have an input, but you don't solve the problem solely through conditions like this on off licences. That condition does exist on the licence. You've heard the applicant's explanation of how that condition or how those conditions were put on those licences. We're certainly not going to sit here and say that the agent at that time didn't fully explain. I'd like to think that, being an agent myself and a consultant myself, I know how I work. I'd like to think that everybody works along the same lines as me, but we don't know for sure. What we do know is that with his other 3 shops, he thought the new licence was the same. He accepts he should have read the licence. Had he read the licence, he probably would not have even resorted to selling those products. He accepts that was a mistake he made. Having had it pointed out, he's now taken the step of applying to have the condition removed. Removing the condition puts him on an even footing, an even keel with the other shops, but he's even prepared to go that little bit further with the adoption of, if you are minded to remove that condition, extra conditions about a refusals policy to be adopted at the shop, a notice to be asking people not to buy for people in the street, and also, belatedly, a condition regarding multi-packs of cans for anything over 6.5%. That's got to help. It would certainly help on a business sense for the applicant, puts him on the level playing field with everybody in the area. And I'll finish by saying that he wants to be a part of the solution. He doesn't want to be a part of the problem in that area. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So we'll adjourn and deliberate and make our decision. I think it will be sent out via email, Jackie, later today, or shall I not give a time frame? Later today, via email, if that's okay. Jackie will make sure that she's got everybody's relevant email so that can be done. Thank you very much for attending.